Let's roll.
Okay. Call this meeting to order. The Cascade Charter Township Zoning Board of Appeals, Tuesday, June 25th, 5:30 p.m. 4 of the 5 members here are present. Lou, Aaron, and Tom, and myself, Ralph, are all present. I'd like to ask that you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have a motion to approve the current agenda. So moved.
Support.
Moved by Lou, supported by Aaron. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, approve the minutes from the June 11th meeting. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Can I have a second?
Support.
Support, motion by Lou, support by Tom. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Do we have any visitors online?
No visitors online.
Okay. All right, we'd like to go with case number 243839. Andrea, would you like to give us a background?
Sure, I'll give you a quick rundown on this case. So first off, I apologize. This is actually going to be case number 243829. I don't think that matters too much, but we just want to make sure we have it on the record correctly.
Okay.
So this applicant is Eric Clausen, who represents Tesla, who operates at 5460 Executive Drive, which is kind of a dead end building right at the end of Executive Drive in our PUD 50. They are looking at doing an expansion to the building. Right now they have offices and manufacturing in the building, and they from the way they've explained it, they kind of have an assembly line with all of these large manufacturing pieces that are really tall and go really deep. So this actually is a subterranean structure that also goes, extremely high to the top of their buildings. And the next piece of equipment that they would like to use is a press that is, I believe, I'm trying to remember exactly how high it is. It's a press that
approximately 45 feet.
45.
From
okay.
Floor.
The press is about 45 feet, and right now the allowed height in this district in PUD 50 and generally in our industrial district is 45 feet. So you can look at the staff review for our findings, for staff findings as far as why this would be an appropriate use. But we've seen that the industry has shifted a little bit, and that a use that's operating in our industrial district needs an exemption in our height, or a variance for higher height, just because of the equipment and the way that it's manufactured now. We haven't seen this happen a lot. In the last 20 years, we've had one height variance request, and that was for a residential that I've seen in our staff files. So I don't think it's something that we need to change the zoning ordinance for. We will further look into it in the future as we're working on the zoning ordinance, but this has served us pretty well without too many issues. But I think that this is a unique situation in the manufacturing within their business model, and has no negative impact on other adjacent buildings, which are all industrial. We've also touched base with the airport, because obviously they're going to be the most impacted by height restrictions. They had no concerns with this. The barrier that they're looking at is actually up into the 100+ range for this area. So we will continue forward with the site plan review for this, and at that point we will provide full site plan to the airport to make sure that we're continuing to work in conjunction with their regulation. I recommend approval of this variance based on the facts that are found in your staff report. Just a second ago, I do want to note this. A second ago, the applicant stated that the owners of the building, or Tesla, the operators, had actually requested a higher height variance, and this is kind of coming, hot off the press. So the staff report, this was noticed for a height exceeding 45 feet. So if the zoning board of appeals felt that it was appropriate to potentially extend that height to higher than the 50 that they originally had proposed, that would be within your purview to do so. You don't have to, but if you, through listening to the applicant's testimony, find that that would be appropriate, it would be within your purview to do so. If you read the language of the PUD 50, this is included in your staff report, section X or 10B. The height restrictions for PUD 50 actually are 45 feet for the building, but allow for up to 70 feet for structures that are outside of the building. So there is room within this section, this height section of the PUD, to maybe approve a certain, a height up to 70 feet, including, any mechanical on top of that. Or you can just say up to 65 feet. You guys can handle it however you'd like. It's worth deliberating to decide if it's something you'd like to do, but you're certainly not required to do so. If the staff has any other question, or I'm sorry, if the ZBA has any other question for staff, you guys can let me know.
Any questions for Andrea?
Thanks.
No. We asked Mr. Clausen to now come up and introduce yourself and give us some of the background.
Sure. Thanks for your time tonight. My name's Eric Clausen. I represent Brennan Investment Group, who represents the ownership of the building. Our tenant is Tesla. And so we, on behalf of Tesla and the specific need, which involves about an 8,700-foot expansion to the southwest corner, which will need to go through Plan Commission site approval. It's an extension of what they have, sort of a press row right now, where they've got a number of these larger presses. Over time, and I'm by no means an expert in hydraulic presses, but presses have gotten larger, and some of the materials that they're forming, dies that they're shaping here, and this is largely a sort of what I'd call sort of a hybrid R&D production facility. So they're making molds that go out to Fremont, that go out to even Western Europe. The only place they don't go is China, is my understanding.
Good.
And so this is an extension of press row. It would allow for 2 additional presses to go into this space. The presses are, I think, the larger. They have not decided, to my chagrin, which press they want to go with. So we're largely at the mercy of that, and that tends to change, but they had looked at 3 different versions. The larger of that is what the initial plans were based on, and that was a 44-foot press, as I understand it. However, they need clearance for servicing the press, and so that's why the variance to the 50 was requested. On the drive up, my project counterpart at Tesla told me, yeah, I just found out 15 minutes ago that they might want to go to 60 feet. So now what I would say is this is 60 feet without the need for additional rooftop units. It's my understanding those could sit down under the existing roof, which would be in conformance. So if it's possible to get an allowance up to, or a variance approval up to a 60-foot height, building height, that would be the request.
To the top of the roof.
To top of the roof, top of the structure would be 60 feet. And I think we could probably also agree that there would be no additional equipment above and beyond that.
Okay, be hung below that.
Yeah, so as it's written in this, it wouldn't have to change because she has it up to 70 feet with no additional height on it. But we're really, if we can get to 60, that would be great. If at this time 50 is all that we could accommodate, then we would prefer to come up with at least that, because at least we know we can house the largest of the 3 that they've currently identified. I unfortunately don't have the rationale for why the additional 10 feet if they're looking at an even larger press. But we can always, come back if need be.
Okay, questions from Mr. Clausen?
No, I just want one by Andrea. So Andrea, if we went to not to exceed 70 feet, are you comfortable with it? Because you said the airport's really like for 100 plus,
Yeah,
that the airport's still gonna be good with this?
Yep.
Or do we have to go back to them and ask again?
we will do it anyway.
Okay.
I think that they would be fine with it. If you want to be more constrictive, to his point, you could say we will allow up to
He
up
said
to
60,
70 feet.
but we
or
could say
up to
70.
60 feet with evidence that a larger press with related clearance requirements.
But based on
Is-
B
is-
here,
Yeah,
you're comfortable with it not to exceed 70 feet?
yeah. I mean, if he's saying 60, I'd probably, stick with 60, but
Okay.
yeah, if you feel that 70 is appropriate. There's
Mr.
not
Clausen,
big
do
issues.
you think 60 is gonna?
I would rather build them a 60 than a 70 because it's cheaper.
Yeah,
Right, sure, okay.
my assumption is that the excess height is not just working clearance, but disassembly of product and heavy lifting for
For placement of the
Yeah.
presses,
future machinery maintenance.
I
things of that
don't know the
nature.
sequence. They might have to put the press in before they put the roof on or take the
Yeah,
roof off.
I mean, it'll be,
That's a big press.
yeah,
Yeah, these are,
yeah, I'm seeing the depth of them, so I recall.
and then that's the 44 feet is above.
from
That's the
floor
larger of
up.
these three. And again, they may have some monster one identified, but there's another 16, 18 feet pit below
Out
that.
of curiosity, you said this is adding to the existing row of presses.
Yeah.
Is this, the press quantity, is this significantly larger than the other ones? Are you finding that the subsoils are sufficient for this stuff?
Based on the existing operations, they should be
You haven't
sufficient
seen any,
for it.
shipping.
There is there's wetlands out.
Yeah.
Which we'll have to address in the site, and there will have to be a dewatering element to the construction when they do the.
I just recall years back when Tower Automotive built, I was a part of that process, and it was very unique to watch, to bring in. They had 15 or 16 different presses to
Yeah.
set the press pits and stuff, and it was just amazing, the size of the density of steels. product.
Yeah, and I think these are, I mean, it's an interesting facility, what they're doing in there. They signed me to, they'll take my firstborn child, I think, if I say anything about it, but, they're making material investment
Okay.
into the building, which is encouraging, and this would be, more along those lines, and I think that's a good thing.
Just out of curiosity, you said they're shipping them then out to Fremont, California?
The molds, so they're creating molds,
Okay.
dies.
Mhm.
They may end up doing a little more production, but my understanding is this is really always
making of the tooling setup itself.
Yeah.
or
for the
For the, yeah,
facilities, yeah,
okay.
globally.
Gotcha, yep, okay. No,
Other
understand.
questions for Eric?
So to be clear, your hopes tonight is for a 60-foot variance.
That's what the tenant has requested, and that would be our
Okay.
request would be building height variance to 60 feet.
Okay,
That's good.
all right. Thank you. I'd like to now entertain a motion for a public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Aaron, supported by Lou. All in favor, say aye.
Hi,
Aye. Any opposed? Passes 4-0. Okay, anybody online? Nobody in the audience?
move to close public hearing.
Support.
Moved by Tom, supported by Aaron. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Public hearing closed, 4-0. Okay, further discussion, gentlemen?
Well, first of all, thanks, Andrea. Great job putting the facts together. Was very clear to understand, and thanks for the additional input, Mr. Clausen. This is obviously, we always look for unique and exceptional circumstances, and this is certainly one. And it's been documented well by staff in the findings of fact. So I move to approve the variance request with staff's conditions and the height not to exceed the 60 feet as requested.
Second.
Moved by Tom, supported by Lou. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. Is there any other business? I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Aaron, supported by Lou. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Meeting
Done.
concludes at 1:45.